welcome to ONYX Pages. So this is going to be a really short video because I'll be talking about comics, or comic strips. And I am really new to the comic world, so I may not have that much to say about Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur. But these are two volumes of the comic that I'm going to talk about. I've just finished reading both of them today, and I really enjoyed them. Basically, Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur are members of the Marvel universe, and so, and I will let you know there will be spoilers in this review, but we do see a few traditional Marvel characters being mentioned in the story. So we hear about Mr. Stark, we hear about Ms. Marvel, the Hulk makes an appearance, and there are mentions of or allusions to other comic characters in the actual images that you see in the book. So basically, the story revolves around Moon Girl, or Lunella Lafayette, who is this girl over here. She's really, really cute. She's 9 years old. She's in grade 4. She hates school because she's 100% too brilliant for it. And she's bored by her science teacher's lack of knowledge of science, which I can actually identify with. And she is growing up in New York with a bunch of very multicultural and otherwise diverse group of young people in the city. So in the first volume, we get to know Moon Girl a little bit, and she develops a friendship with Devil Dinosaur. And not much happens in the first volume of stories. I think it may be because they're just establishing a relationship between Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and we're getting to understand how they came to be with each other. We also know that Moon Girl is trying to avoid a happening. She is an inhuman, although she's currently in volumes 1 to 6 in her human form. And in order for her to get these magical superpowers, of which she doesn't know anything about, she has to enter into a cloud, a Terrigen cloud. So she spends the first volume trying to avoid this Terrigen cloud, because the last thing that she wants is to have to transform into some unknown inhuman being. So that's sort of the climax here, is her trying to avoid this transformation. And then in volume 2, which I actually liked a lot better, we get to see what happens after she ends up engaging with the Terrigen. And we're also introduced to another world in another time, and we see her trying to avoid a conflict with this little green guy here, who turns into a bit of a brat who's trying to find her. I definitely liked the second volume more than I liked the first. The reason is, I guess, one reason might be is that I was getting more used to the comic format, because I don't read comics. So I probably got a little bit more comfortable with the words in the bubbles and reading the pictures along with the words. There are also two parallel narrations that are going on. One is in a box and the other is in a circular bubble, and so it was a bit confusing for me to read both at the same time and to understand the relationship between the narration and the actual words that were being said. But all that said, I really enjoyed Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, and the reason I did is because, I mean, growing up, comics didn't really appeal to me. It may be because all that I saw in the 80s was Archie comics and other kinds of comics that I, didn't have people who were black or even brown. All the color that was in the comics was like blue or green, and I really wasn't interested in blue or green or pink people. So I really didn't get into them. But I think I would follow this story because there are a lot of characters of color. It's cute, and I can certainly identify with feeling a little bit out of place. That's very much a theme for Moon Girl. Also, there are facial expressions that I completely understand and appreciate. She gives people cut eye. I'm sure I saw her mouth form as though she was giving someone a strips. And if you're Trini, you know what that means. And there are a couple of ways that she expressed her annoyance in the books that I smiled at because I remember doing that as a kid and I still do that now. So that is the synopsis. I would definitely recommend that you check out Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur if you're a comic fan, if you're into diverse comics, and also if you're just getting into comics and you want to see what's out there. Now, for the 7 calorie shell rating, the first calorie shell has to do with plot. And I'm going to treat both of these volumes together because they're fairly short. So I would say taken together, I would give half a calorie shell for plot because the plot took a little bit of time in order to get more interesting. And certainly volume 2, the stories contained in that volume, had a lot more complexity, more characters. I found myself turning the pages faster because the pace of the story had increased. So half a calorie shell for plot. Characters, I would say another half a calorie shell for characters. We only really learned the most about Moon Girl, but there are other characters that are very interesting that have backstories that I would have liked to hear about. Third, world building. I would give a full calorie shell for the world building because the Marvel universe is really big and vast, and the writers did a really good job of taking the stories of an inner city young black girl trying to survive in elementary school and placing that into a superhero context with magical transformative beings and superheroes. So I thought that was really great. I think we're up to 2 calorie shells. I'll do the math after. And in terms of LGBT content, there was none at all. So no calorie shells for that. In terms of being Afrofuturistic, I mean, we've got a young girl who is trying to avoid becoming superhuman and who is very aware that there's a world beyond the earth that she's engaging with, and so I would give a full calorie shell for this story because it depicts a young black girl who's contending with the galaxies in various different ways. So full calorie shell for that. So I think we're up to 3. And then for is this story aspirational? I would say that it certainly is. One of the things that consumes Moon Girl in these volumes is she wants to be in a place where her brilliance will be appreciated and understood. She feels as though she's limited by the world around her and that people don't understand her and that they underestimate her skill and they underestimate her power and they underestimate her potential. And so she wants to be somewhere else. She wants to be engaged in STEM research. She sees herself making a contribution to the world and she's driven by that. It's an obsession for her because she knows how amazing she is. So definitely 1 full calorie shell for this being aspirational. And then I did switch the order, but the last calorie shell is about whether or not this book challenged any norms, any societal norms. I would say that there are a lot of traditional depictions of family and classroom dynamics and teachers. So there's a mom and there's a dad living in a Brooklyn apartment. I do think that we never ever see, I think we never see Moon Girl in a skirt or a dress. She's always in a shirt. At one point she's got a shirt and a bow tie tucked into shorts. And so there's none of that coquettish girly femness to her, which I noticed and I really appreciated. She's not a tomboy as we sometimes would see as the more masculine alternative for young girls. She's just herself. And she relies on her brain more than anything else to get by. So there's no, her being coquettish or flirtatious or batting her eyes or anything like that. In fact, when a character professes his love to her, she's like, okay, just shut the F up. Like, literally, get out of my face. You're not a nice person, right? So I liked that. So I would say maybe half a calorie shell for whether or not there are challenging of norms in this in this comic. So that is my rating. I think we're at like 4.5 calorie shells, but my math is going to be probably wrong. I will put a very nice graphic that shows you how many calorie shells Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur got. So I would suggest that you take a look at this. And if you are a comic book lover, or if you have read Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, or have reviewed it in your own videos, I would really appreciate hearing from you in the comments, and feel free to post a link to any reviews that you've done of this book, because I am definitely going to read more. I'm connected. I want to hear more about Moon Girl and about Devil Dinosaur and what kind of capers they get themselves into. Thanks very much for watching ONYX Pages. See you next time.